Welcome back to the Words from the Nerds podcast, baby. It's a wonderful, we're recording early this week. It is a wonderful Monday night. We wanted to get in here early and talk about What If and all the jazz that show is, because we didn't talk about it last episode and we said we were going to save it for this one. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself. This is the Words from the Nerds podcast. Thank you for watching, listening, whatever you're doing right now. I am one of your hosts, Cubson, aka Charlie, and I am joined by my lovely, lovely co-hosts, Benjamin and Aiden. And I don't think I want to ask them how they're doing just yet. I think, you know what I think I want to do? I think I want to ruin their night all over again. And ask them how they feel about the Batman Part 2 getting delayed another year. So let's go. Let's start with Aiden, huh?
I mean, there's a lot of things I could selfishly say. I could selfishly state about how I feel about the delay. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've heard rumors of Matt Reeves not doing so good. I've heard all types of stuff that, maybe this is why, this is why. If we're tackling it, I'll give my thoughts on both sides of the coin. If Matt Reeves truly is not doing great and he just cannot write the script right now and is not being greenlit, whatever, take your time. Health comes first. Personal issues come first. If you are delaying it to find, which this is just me with my speculative, wonderful brain, if you are delaying it because you want to find a way to fit it into James Gunn's universe, absolutely, 1,000%. Sign me the heck up right now. I would do anything to see David Cornsweet's Superman and Robert Pattinson's Batman on screen. But, regardless, it does suck that we have to wait 2.5 years to see that glorious man put that glorious suit back on. It pains me a lot, so, yeah.
5 years in total.
Crazy. It's crazy. I mean, like, what happens if we have to wait, like this long, probably not this long, but even just like a little bit longer next, for the Batman Part 3.
Part 3.
Like, oh man, can't imagine that. This dude is gonna be Alfred by the time, like, he's gonna be the same age as Alfred by the time we get Batman Part 3. So it's crappy all around.
Benjamin, what are your wonderful thoughts, sure, on that delay?
Obviously, I am devastated by it, to say the least. I think, and I don't know if this is a hot take to say, but I think the Batman Part 2 is maybe, like, outside of maybe Superman, is like the most anticipated upcoming superhero project for me. Even more so than anything the MCU is doing, just because, the MCU and the state it's in right now. But I think the Batman Part 2 and Superman are like the two movies that most people are really looking forward to and excited for. So when I saw it was delayed for a year, I was very upset. And then there's all these like rumors and theories for why it's happening. I know that Aiden seemed really happy about the idea of it merging with the new DC universe. I don't think that's happening. I don't even really see it as a possibility, mainly just because of how long and how carefully crafted Matt Reeves is with his universe and with this character. Like, if James Gunn wants to use Batman in future projects, I just don't see him being able to easily kind of pull him in and bring him into different stories without potentially interfering with what Matt has coming, years down the pipeline, if there's like another Batman Part 3. Like, you wouldn't want Matt to start working on the Batman Part 3 script and then James Gunn be like, oh, we have Batman, let's write him into this story. And there's just too much that goes on behind the scenes for that tie-in to happen, in my opinion, which I am more happy about I think that Matt Reeves should continue to do his own thing. It clearly has worked. I love his universe and look forward to literally any project that comes out of it. But James Gunn should also do his own thing and release, a couple, 2 to 3 DC Universe movies every single year. And I don't think that those two things can really merge. On top of the fact that they already had a plan for Batman with The Brave and the Bold, although it seems like that's getting delayed too, so I don't really know. Crazy though that it could be like 2.5 to 3 years before we see Batman at all on the big screen when you have an active Batman universe and a brand new DC universe. To not have Batman show up in either of those for multiple years is it's a little upsetting. But I mean, I trust Matt Reeves and I'm like very confident in how the Batman Part 2 will turn out. But it is upsetting. It definitely is.
That's a really good point about not seeing Batman in the next couple of years is kind of crazy to
Bro,
think
the
about.
last time we saw Batman was The Flash.
Yep. And I will say his scene in The Flash was pretty good. Pretty good Batman sequence, I will say.
For Batfleck, you're saying?
Yeah, for Batfleck, yeah. That was a pretty good sequence, chasing the car chase and everything. I thought was pretty well done. One of the good things that was done in that movie. But yeah, the Batman Part 2, man, that's a bit of a bummer. I don't think I'm as disappointed as you guys are. Like, I'm willing to wait, but like, oh my god, bro, I'm gonna be 27. Literally,
Damn,
I turned
Unc.
27. I'm gonna turn 27, and then the next day, actually, I'm gonna see it on my birthday probably, because I assume that October 1st is gonna be a Friday, so I'll see that I'll be 27 when I'm watching that fucking movie.
That's crazy.
Which
And
is
we'll
crazy.
still be doing the podcast.
Ooh, I'm actually busy that day. Shit hit me.
Oh my god.
But I wanted to stay in the realm of the DC news. I know I didn't quite ask you guys how you're doing, but I figure,
Well, I
with the
was gonna
grand scheme of
say
things.
I'm doing good, but I was gonna save something for you whenever you ask because I have convinced my fiance to watch The Bear. So I'm rewatching The Bear,
shit.
and I
And you're
finished.
finally gonna watch season 3.
Yep, and I'm finally gonna watch season
go.
3. And I would have this like I will watch it together for the first time, but she loves it, dude, and I was not expecting
How
that.
far are you guys?
We're on episode 2 of season 2. We finished season 1 in 2 days or 2 sittings. It's just such an easy show to get through, man. It's like
Yeah, for sure.
30 minutes per episode, and season 1's 8 episodes. Like that's literally just 4 hours you set aside, and you're done. And oh my, it's so perfect, dude. Like that first season is genuinely so phenomenal, and I just wanted to get like I love this show, dude, and I'm just now like I'm being reminded of how much I love it. Seeing it through her eyes, like whenever she saw Iowa Debris, like her face lit up, like she loves her, and she didn't know that she was in The Bear, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, she's in this!" And then like, just getting to the end of the season where they find the money, and like just seeing her reaction to all of that, where she's like, "Oh shit, dude! Like he did care, and he did leave, like he did want a franchise, and he does care about the restaurant," and then ending it on The Bear is coming. Oh my gosh, it's a phenomenal season, and I am actually I don't care how many times I'll be told that like season 3 feels rushed or that season 3 is like or that it's like what I do not care. I cannot wait to see more of it. Like the fact that I've put it off this long after revisiting it, I'm like, how did I do that? Like this show is so peak, dude. It's amazing.
I can't wait to hear her thoughts on the back half of season 2 with
with Richie
fishes. And yeah.
I keep telling her because she was like Tina's such a dick. I hate Tina. I was like, you're gonna love her, And then she was like, oh, whenever Sydney asked her to be her sous chef, she was like, oh, I just love Tina so much. And then like Richie, all the shit that Richie does in the first season, I'm like, I just want to scream and be like, just wait, he gets his own episode in the second season, and it's phenomenal. It's the best show in the entire, or the best episode in the entire show. But I can't. Like, I just can't wait to get to that episode in that moment and just see her reaction. So, yeah, dude, I am excited. And who knows, next week I could probably come back and be like, probably not next week, maybe the week after. I can sit down and tell you my thoughts on The Bear season 3.
Season 3.
I'm excited.
Oof.
So excited.
I'm excited.
Well, you know,
you.
I sent you that edit on TikTok, and then whenever I showed it to her, I was like, okay, look, sit down, and I showed it to her, and I was like, all right, I'll compromise with you. I was like, we pause Shameless indefinitely, or we pause Shameless, we watch all of The Bear, and then we finish Shameless, and I'll watch Gossip Girl with you, and I'll watch all of it, and I won't complain.
Damn.
And she was like,
crazy.
Now
she
you're
was
making
like,
deals.
yeah, she was like, okay, that sounds good. She was like, I've never been opposed to watching The Bear. We just had so much other stuff to watch, and I was like, you have to sit down and
Damn,
watch
so she
this.
tried. That's crazy. You didn't even have to agree to Gossip Girl then, bro. She just got your
Yeah,
ass.
you got to say never mind.
No,
She just gave you an out.
She would have, like, her whole thing is she's like, we always watch what you want to watch. Like, I want to watch, like, my girly, like, you know, just drama-filled shows. And I'm like, I can't, man. I cannot sit through. I just can't. Like, so I was like, all right, look, since I'm making you divert and like watch all of this other show, I'll compromise with you and I'll watch whatever you want after we finish Shameless. And I figured she loves Jeremy Allen White's character in Shameless, and so I was like, he is literally the same person in The Bear, just more of like a little bit more of a caring soul and like more of a complex person. And she loves him. She loves Lip. She loves Carmi. So I'm like, I'm so happy that she loves the show. And that's why I said earlier, I was like, Jeremy Allen White. Because after watching him again in The Bear, oh my God, this man is gorgeous.
Yeah,
so
bro.
I'm like,
Fantastic.
yeah. But yeah, so I'm doing great, but I did want to save time to tell you that.
No, that's good to hear. For my girlfriend and I had to do like a similar thing. Well, one time we tried watching Vampire Diaries, I think it was, or no, I don't know. It was one of those shows. We didn't finish that one though, but I did end up watching like Jane the Virgin.
Yeah.
What's the New Girl? I watched New Girl.
New Girl's great. Yeah.
Both of which are both of which I found enjoyment in. I can't lie. But yeah, Benjamin. Do you have what have you been watching? What have you been watching, buddy?
I mean, recently, What If, Squid Game, which I know we're going to talk about. And my wife and I have just been going through The Office ever since the wedding a few months back. We just started season 7, so I feel like we're actually going pretty quick.
Is it your first time watching it?
No, I've seen it before.
Oh.
I think both of us have seen it before, but we're watching through that, and
Getting close to Michael even.
yeah, we
Bummer.
are. And I don't know what's next because she likes Gossip Girl, but she watches that on her own currently. I've never seen it, and we didn't have that many shows on our.
Fuck. Sorry.
Better Call Saul.
Actually, Breaking Bad is on our list to watch because she hasn't seen it, and
Nice.
I was able to kind of sneak it in and be like, "Hey, we should watch this show." I do want to watch The Bear, and literally as you guys were talking about it, I was checking to see if I was still logged into my sister's Hulu account, but it looks like I'm logged out, so I'll have to wait until I see her next. And then I do plan to watch it at some point.
Hell yes.
I think I've realized these last couple weeks that like watching a season of a show doesn't take that much effort for me.
Yeah.
And especially something like The Bear, like Aiden was just talking about. Like it's not too long.
Yeah. So I definitely plan to check that out. But no, recently it was really just like watching What If, keeping up with Creature Commandos, and then binging Squid Games. But I haven't watched many movies recently. I don't think I've seen anything other than rewatching Smile 2 with friends this past weekend, but haven't been to the theater since Sonic 3 and but I feel like I've been watching quite a bit of stuff, but it's mainly just been keeping up with current releases.
Gotta take that chillax time while you can from the theater because 2025 is about to go crazy. So,
That is true. I already have my first movie of 2025 planned.
what is it? Den of Thieves 2?
When does that come out?
January 10th, I think.
If I watch the first one, I'm about to be gone for a few days, so I don't know if I'll have time for that. But my first one that's planned right now is Wolfman, which comes out the
Oh,
17th, which is directed by Lee Winnell, who did Upgrade and The Invisible Man, which I just love his directing style. Um, so I mean, I'd go and watch any movie that he makes basically at this point. I remember, I tried to show Aiden Upgrade, but that didn't work out
Hey,
too well.
well, Charlie also tried to show me The Bear that same weekend, and that also did not work out. And so it was just it was a tiring
hey,
week for
around to
me.
one of them though.
I did
Yeah,
so. I will watch
you gotta
Upgrade,
watch
and I
Upgrade
will come
and
back with my
The
thoughts.
Invisible Man. Not as good
I've
as Upgrade, but like
I think I've watched. Was that is that with what's her name?
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Moss.
Elizabeth something. Yeah, Elizabeth. I did watch that. Um, it's been so long though that I can't truly have an opinion on it. But I do remember liking it somewhat. But again, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, that's a bad movie because I just haven't watched it in so long.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'll check
I just
those.
I just really love Lee Winnell's style, so very excited for Wolfman. Even though like I think Wolfman is technically like a remake, kind of like with what Robert Eggers just did with Nosferatu. Um, so I think it's kind of in that similar vein. So I'm just really excited to see another film from him because it has been almost 5 years because The Invisible Man came out in 2020, literally like 2 weeks
Yeah,
before the pandemic. So
yeah.
very excited for 2025 to start just because it's starting off with such uh, an exciting movie for me.
What a rider. Am I right, chat? Anyway, as I was mentioning before, this is the Words from the Nerds podcast, and I want to cover some housekeeping before we get into the run of show. If you are listening on any listening platform, be sure to drop us a review. We'd super appreciate it. A good review, obviously. But, if you want to tell us how much you hate us too, we'd also like that. Speaking of telling us how much you hate us, you can also leave us fan mail or a comment, and we will read it aloud at the beginning of every single episode. If there is a comment left, which I don't think we have gotten a comment since we have started doing that. So one day, and we're gonna super appreciate it when we get it. But yes, I do want to, even a YouTube comment. If you're watching on YouTube, we will gladly read out a YouTube comment that is left for us. So even you can even, I don't think we've mentioned this, but you could leave us like little topics that you want us to cover. If you want us to rank moments in superhero movies or something like that, like we 100% we can do that for you. But alas, we have not gotten one. Maybe one day though. But first and foremost, it's time to jump into Squid Game Season 2. It is the follow-up to Squid Game Season 1, of course, which dropped on Netflix, I believe, November 2021. So it's been quite a while since the first season. But I believe that is because they filmed Season 2 and 3 back-to-back. And Season 3 should be coming out, I believe it's summer 2025. So I have watched it. Benjamin has watched it. Aiden has not even seen Season 1. Roast him in the comments accordingly.
Yeah,
But
drop a fan mail about how dumb I am for not checking it out, please. I mean, anything.
Benjamin and I are going to talk about our thoughts on Season 2. And I think we're going to touch on spoilers at some point. So, Aiden, you might want to tune out when we get to that point. But yeah, I think I'll have you go first, Benjamin.
Um, I guess I'll briefly say my thoughts on season one. I watched season one like right when it came out, and it became popular very quickly, like within the first week or whatever. But I think I caught it kind of like still in its early days where it hadn't completely taken over like social media. I
You got a
don't know why
fucking hipster. You got a hipster.
I don't know why you're
He's
laughing
on
at
the
that.
trend before anybody else.
No, no,
Crazy, bro.
I'm actually saying that to say that um I think once it got to a certain level of popularity, that kind of like how Aiden views it, there was a little bit of annoyance and it did like paint a lot of people's view of the show. So I feel like if I hadn't watched it right away, I would have had more of a negative view going into it.
Mhm.
And I think I only watched it right away because my friend John, he started it immediately as well, and then was just like, "Yo, you like have to start this." And so we watched it like right when it dropped. But I really did like season one. I thought that um, it's one of those shows where like you can understand why it kind of has an appeal to a larger audience because it takes simple concepts and then implements them psychologically in interesting ways with how they do the whole games thing and just with the different character relationships and whatnot. And so it felt the stakes felt very real and the interpersonality that they were able to have and really dive into certain characters I think led to some great but also sometimes some devastating moments. I think my favorite episode was the marbles episode. If you remember the marbles game episode, that was kind of the most like shocking and dire things that happened in that season. Um, but I think it was just like it was structured very well. They kept it interesting, even though in a way they were kind of repeating things. It's game to game to game, kind of each episode. Um, but it never felt like it ran out of interesting ideas or how to keep things fresh because within each of those they knew how to manipulate the relationships and whatnot. Um, and then there was kind of the other storyline that was happening as well, which usually side storylines like that I don't feel like are great. They usually detract from the main storyline. In this case, I was a fan of it, and it ended up being more important in the grand scheme of things than I thought it would be. And by the final episode, it was kind of like, hmm, like I want to see what happens literally immediately following.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of how I felt originally, and then I'll be honest, I haven't really thought of the show much in the last couple of years.
Sure.
Um, I mean, I watched the Mr. Beast video if that counts for something. Um, but then I heard that they were going to be releasing season 2 and I wasn't like on the hype train for it. I don't even think that I saw a trailer for it or anything. And then you had mentioned that you had started it, Charlie, and at that point I hadn't watched it. And the next day I was just like I might as well just check this out and watch it. So I think I watched like half of the season on Friday and the other half on Saturday. Um, and I think you had briefly shared a couple of thoughts, which kind of, I think I share to an extent, which is that the story of season 2 doesn't feel like it has like as much of a purpose as season 1. It feels like kind of the reason why we're back into the swing of things doesn't fully feel justified and feels more like they just kind of made it work in a weird way. Um, which like what it allowed to happen, I was still a fan of, but how we get from the start of episode 1 from season 2 and then into like the third episode basically is where we're kind of back into the swing of things. The jump to get to that point, it's kind of like, I don't know that I fully bought into it. I still was like entertained and interested in what was happening. but it really felt like they were trying to make an excuse to get back into the games no matter what, and I didn't feel as invested in how we got there as I did the first time around. I think that changed as the season went on because they introduced a different dynamic to how we view the games based on the players in the games. Specifically with player one, I can say that because Charlie knows what that means. Um, that was a big shock to me, and that really changed my view of it because it elevated just like that central conflict of what we were dealing with, and I liked the idea of this kind of head to head in a way
Sure.
dynamic that was happening. Um,
Albeit one-sided. But yeah.
yeah, yeah, um, and I mean, I still think like being back in the games and the psychological aspect that was still there. I don't feel like it was quite as good as the first time around. Um, and I feel like we actually saw through the games a lot more people being evil than we
Yeah.
did kind of genuine relationships with characters that we cared about. There's a lot more people who you're just like upset with.
Yeah.
Um, which to be fair, I like a lot of the side characters that they introduced. And they do have a little bit of that emotional side with like the mother-son dynamic, the young pregnant girl, and a couple others. So there still are characters that you care about, but there's a much heavier emphasis on these characters that are more the chaos element of it. Um, so it still keeps things entertaining, but it doesn't hit as hard as something like the Marbles episode, which like was truly just like a dreadful episode to sit down and
Yeah.
watch. Whereas other than specific moments, I don't feel like any of these games were like particularly emotionally taxing to sit through. It's like, okay, there's a game, people are going to lose, we know that, and it doesn't hit as hard when that happens, I don't think in this season.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say with spoiler-free thoughts, just so that you can chime in, is that I was aware that this was kind of a part one of the story that we were telling. I didn't realize that season 3 was coming so soon, but
Yeah.
um, especially once we got to a certain point, I realized and kind of put it together that like this is not gonna end on an ending. This is gonna leave us somewhere where we want to see the story continued. Um, and so the ending has me like very excited for what's next, and like I'm looking forward to season 3. But it's weird that this season was 7 episodes that were all like 55 minutes to some of them being like over an hour. And I feel like in these 7 episodes, we did what should have happened in like half of a season. It feels like the first half of season 1 in a way. Um, but they still like had, 7 episodes with long run times. So it's just the pacing of it. They took a lot more time with things, but I don't feel like that extra time actually added anything that was necessary.
Yeah.
So, I really liked it. I will definitely be there for season 3. Um, but I feel like some of the things that they focused on in season 1 that were the highlights, they just kind of lost in this season. And what they chose to focus on more, I personally didn't care about as much. I still cared, and I would still say that this was a good season, but it's definitely not as good as the first season.
Yeah. Um, and I just off the cuff with that statement, I agree. I don't think that this season is as good as season 1. Um, I still think it is very good though. With that being said, and I would even go so far as to say, as far as characters wise, I think the characters in season 2, for me anyway, are better than the characters in season 1, and I do feel more invested in a lot of them. But as I say that, I still agree with like the statement you made about how some of them, maybe not the characters that we follow, but just everybody in the games this time around are like comically evil, and it's like I get that like it's some sort of commentary on society, I'm sure, and like how money hungry they are, but it's just in this context, it's very like I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know if it's just because of like the choice that they made, and I won't say it just for Aiden's sake, but the choice that they made with these games this time, and what happens after every game. I don't know if it's like because of that choice and they have that idea to fall back on. I don't know if that's what kind of inspires that behavior from the players. But I don't know. It took to at least from what I remember of season 1, like it was a much more like serious, to the point where like they voted in the first season. Slight spoiler, Aiden, but this is like episode 1 spoiler, so it's fine. Oh, okay, you're fine. They voted to get out of the game in season 1. Like those people, like it's like they knew that they knew that this was like a bad thing to be a part of, until they all decided that their lives were shitty or whatever, and then they ended up going back. Um, but this, I don't know. It kind of I think that's what sort of helped in taking away the tension of certain moments, is like people just genuinely didn't care, and they didn't care about other people. They just cared about the money. And with certain characters that you follow throughout this season that aren't as important as like the main group that you're following, but they still like highlight them and their relationship sometimes. Like, for example, the Thanos guy and that kid that was like a shy kid that wasn't like was part of their group but like wasn't really, and then also that girl, like their relationship with each other they highlighted pretty well, and then towards the end, like we know what happens, and it just seems like that was such like for nothing. Like obviously that kid's still alive, so I'm sure we're still going to see something with him in season 3. But as of now, it just seems like a wasted sort of idea to me, and a wasted time with wasted characters essentially. When I could have, I feel like I wanted more with the pregnant girl, let's say, and the crypto guy, and what their whole situation is like. Granted, I think they had like a separate conversation at some point. Um, but also the guy with the sick daughter, like that was another one of those storylines where I feel like we focused on that, but nothing really came of it, and now that seems to be at like an end. So I don't know. I think there's a mixture in terms of like characters that I care about. The main group I think is a lot of the main group last time, and I agree with you with what you're saying with player number 1. I think that's like that was a great idea, and I was actually properly shocked by that when that reveal happened. Um, Still finding ways to keep the show somewhat interesting, and also I see that they're trying to keep it interesting as well by changing the games, but I don't know if that uh, it still doesn't feel very different, because I guess like it kind of just feels like I'm going through the motions again, maybe. Because nothing, as you mentioned, is on the level of like the Marvel thing. And granted, we're yet to see. I'm sure they're going to continue the games in season 3 somehow. Uh, but I don't know. Just the track one, like that was like, all right, whatever. I did find the game, the carousel game, somewhat interesting, because that sort of it's like a lighter version of the marble game, because you have to pick and choose. And so I thought that was actually rather well done. But even like the side plots, not just like talking with specific characters, but just the side plots in general just seemed not nearly as well fleshed out as the first season. And like as you mentioned with the first season, yeah, I cared about those side plots. This time around, I can't say that I really did. It seemed like the main side plots were trying to find the island and um, the one triangle
Yeah, like the soldiers who were still trying to
soldier. Thank you.
harvest
Yeah.
from the organs to sell off.
Yeah, exactly. And like that seems like a that one specifically seems like such a half-assed like continuation of last time. And like I get that they're trying to hide it from the front man still and everything like that, and it's easier to hide, especially while he's part of the game, I'm sure. Um, Actually, I don't know how he wouldn't like clock into the fact that it doesn't matter. Whatever, never mind. That plot specifically just seems like I guess I don't really have a full understanding of why she's doing that, why she feels like she needs to do that. Um, just to stop them from selling the organs off and whatnot. I don't know why she's making that her mission. When it seemed like I thought at the beginning, like the dad of the sick daughter moved in red light, green light a little bit, right? But she just didn't shoot him. I think if I understood that correctly. Um, and so I thought that like she's merciful maybe in a way, but like there's a certain moment in the show where I didn't get that from her whatsoever, and it seemed like I can't remember, I can't recall it, so I probably shouldn't even be bringing it up. But um, I don't know. It just seems like her morality is very wish washy for me right now, and I just don't quite fully understand the character. I don't think, and I hope to understand more, obviously, with season 3. But I guess that's just the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And it seemed like they went more action heavy this season with like the last episode I should say. Um, which don't get me wrong was entertaining, but like I knew how that was going to end though. Like there's no way that that was ever gonna like I didn't even know that season 3 was going to be coming out so soon, and like without me knowing that, like I knew that there was no way this could end in like a uh, positive way for the players, I should say. Uh, so it was kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of thing. And so I think there was a lot of great moments. I even loved as slow as they were episodes 1 and 2, because I obviously I wanted to get back into the games and the swing of things and the more interesting quote unquote moments of the show. But they actually kept me engaged with the I don't know if he even has a name, but just the recruiter for the games guy. Everything with him I thought was really well done. Um, to the way he made those guys play rock paper scissors, and uh, albeit weird, the scene where he goes around and gives homeless people the option of bread or a lottery ticket and just stomps on all the bread. It's kind of crazy. Um, but and then the moment with him and Jihoon was oh my gosh, that was a crazy good moment. I feel like that whole scene was really well done. So even like early on, they were finding ways to keep me engaged, but I just feel like so many of the little things fell flat in respect to like season 1 in comparison to season 1. So, and I get it; it's hard to do like follow up something with such crazy acclaim in that way. It's a challenge, and I think overall still did a good job because I still enjoyed the season, and I'm very much going to be there for season 3. But uh, I do worry that I don't think season 3 could be nearly as interesting now, though. Um, with the front man back in his position and everything like that, like I wonder where it's gonna go from here as in terms of like Ji-hoon's progress as well as what everything that's happening on the boat. Um, it seems like a very they probably want it to seem this way, I guess, but it seems like the it's kind of written in the sand as to what's gonna happen, but I don't know.
Yeah. You're definitely right about those side storylines, like them looking for the island. That wasn't all that interesting, and I even thought very early on that the captain was probably in on it somehow. Like
Really?
that wasn't surprising to me at all.
I thought one of the military guys they hired was, but not
Yeah.
the captain.
Yeah. Um, I think I thought it was the captain because the captain was the one who was closely working with the detective, and most of the guys were hired by the other character from the start
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah, I got you.
Um, yeah, that other
The mobster
enthusiastic
guy.
character. Yeah. Um, so that's why I thought it. That's why I thought it was the captain rather than one of them. But yeah, those side storylines just nowhere near as interesting. Like even the one with them harvesting organs and whatnot. Like in season one, that was an interesting part of it because also the private detective, was infiltrating and all of that kind of tied together in a way that kept you engaged and you were like, oh, like even in this organization, there's still these other things happening and people going against their instructions and whatnot. So that was interesting, but I don't feel like it was there in season two. Um, and then you mentioned the characters. The reason why I say that the characters from season one I found to be more interesting, and given I haven't seen that season in a couple years since it came out, but the main reason is I remember the Marble episode, and there are multiple relationship dynamics in that episode where like they really play into it. People are having hard conversations with one another, and like when people get killed, when people have to die, that really hit emotionally. I think probably most that was the most emotionally hitting episode in the entire show so far. And so like I contrast that with any of the games that we had in this season of I guess the 3 games that we had. There were multiple instances where they kind of highlighted different relationships. Even in the first game, when we went back to red light, green light, and Thanos was like specifically talking to a girl who ends up being like one of the first people killed or whatever. And they do that a little bit, and then especially during the like carousel game, they try and highlight some of those emotional moments, like with the mother son dynamic, and then a couple of people who um, get kicked out of rooms and whatnot. They try to do that, but nothing I think reaches the level of what I felt for the characters in season one. I do think that a lot of these side characters are like they're really entertaining and you want to learn more about them and they add to the story, but I just don't remember caring as much for these characters as I remember from season one. Um, it definitely is just like a completely different dynamic um, to the games, which I think was probably intentional. Like things are just a little more chaotic. Um, so there's pros and cons to it, but that definitely puts it um, below season one. And then the last thing you said that like you're not sure how season 3 will go. So you probably saw the little like 10-second teaser mid credit scene in the last
Oh
episode.
yeah, like the red light, green light girl or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically showing that there are going to be more games in season 3.
Mm,
Um which it
I
it's
completely forgot about that.
yeah,
that little teaser thing.
yeah, I've seen people doing like spoof season 3 trailers or whatever. Just, the internet being
Yeah.
stupid. But we know that we're going back into the games. And for me, that's like, it's, I really hope that season 3 isn't what we're probably both expecting, which is that, oh, the front man's back in charge. He doesn't kill everyone. And instead, maybe Gene thinks that he's actually dead. Maybe Gyun doesn't piece it together at that point. Um, which if that's the case, then I hope they pay that off sometime later in season 3. Otherwise, it would be kind of pointless to have him in the games and that connection never be known.
Yeah.
But if the front man just says like, okay, Gyun, he's gonna let Gyun prove himself and give him a chance to win the games again, and go through the rest of the games. There's 3 more games that are supposed to happen, and if they just like continue with the survivors or whatever, I agree with you that I don't think there would be anything too interesting there for them to latch onto. And I feel like what they had going for them this season was the connection with the front man and him being in the games. And so it's like if you get rid of that,
Yeah, it's just we're redoing season 1.
yeah, we're redoing season 1. And so what I really hope doesn't happen is that like we go back into the games, we have a couple episodes of mostly that, and then obviously there's like, the people looking for the island, and this other side storyline. And I'm hoping it doesn't be like, oh, final episode, and then we get like the conflict between Yoon and the front man. So I don't know how they're going to approach it. The only like confidence that I have is that they worked on these seasons together, so they had a plan in place.
Yeah.
And they knew that the front man was gonna potentially be, back in charge by the end of the season. And in a way, I kind of trust their writing because so far they've done really well from a writing standpoint. I think a little bit weaker this season, but I don't think it would be so bad that like it would just fall off a cliff and be a super basic third season. So I don't really know what they have up their sleeves, but I'm definitely hopeful, but based on where we're at, yeah, I don't know where they go from here to keep it interesting for another season.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still looking forward to it though. Yeah, it's just it seems like they gave away the thing that made this interesting already, with the front man being back in his regular position and everything like that. So I don't know. We will have to wait and see by summer 2025, hopefully. Oh, he could still hear us, bro. That's crazy. So we just
No,
we just got the whole thing spoiled for you, huh, buddy?
I didn't get anything spoiled. Don't worry.
Okay, buddy. I'll try to believe you. But now we are on.
Shut up, man. All right, I'm standing up for myself. Shut up.
That's crazy, dude.
Brother.
That is insane. I've never been spoken to that rudely before. It's crazy. But now we're on to topic of the show, and that is Marvel's What If. Season 3 has finally come to an end. The final season as well. Final episode, series finale, just aired on the 29th, yesterday. So
We were so eager to get in and record and talk about this, and you'll find out why. But I mean, we were so eager. So here's the thing: since we won't break down each episode by like fully in depth, and this is just me spitballing. We can literally do whatever you want, Charlie, since you're hosting. I told Ben before, I was like, oh, I can just spin a wheel with all 3 of our names, and then whoever it lands on can they can talk about that episode, and then we can just kind of throw in like the other 2 can just kind of throw in like some generic thoughts and then move on, to like keep it kind of concise. I don't know, just to add some element to this fucking dog shit piece of shit, abysmal bullshit that Marvel put out. My gosh. But anyways,
well, there's Aiden's thoughts. Guys.
Just to add, I mean, we saw it coming. We've talked about it on the pod. I won't share my screen and do the thing just to, I don't know, save time or whatever. But
yeah, I get
anyways, yeah. So I got the wheel here. You can introduce our first episode though.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna run down these episodes one by one, and we'll have one main person talk about their thoughts on the episode, and the other 2 will chime in. It sounds like so. Episode 1 of season 3 of What If.
and the wheel is
What
being
if-
spun.
Wait, hey.
I was just letting you
Host is
know.
still talking.
Oh,
Host
yes,
is
sir.
still
Sorry,
talking,
sir.
right?
Sorry, sir.
What if Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? And who did it land on?
Charlie.
I had told Aiden my thoughts on this episode a little bit already, just because we were playing Marvel Rivals and we knew we weren't going to talk about it for a minute. So, I mean, come on, man! Like, it's titled "What If Hulk Fought the Mech Avengers?" Hulk never fights them. Hulk himself does not fight the Mech Avengers. That does not happen in this episode. It was cool, the beginning of it, to see like the old animation style and everything like that. Like that was somewhat neat. And getting to watch the Avengers and hear the story of how they failed or whatever, how they tried to come together and how they failed. It kind of reminded me. I don't know if you two have seen the next Avengers, the animated movie. It's an animated movie about the Avengers kids and living in a world after they died and Ultron took over. It's actually a pretty good movie. It kind of reminded me of that because there's a scene in that movie where like they're telling them about how the Avengers fought as hard as they could and Ultron prevailed, yada yada yada. So I thought that was cool and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. But then we jump right into they're flying these gigantic mech suits around. They're on a video call with Red Guardian, I think the mom from Black Widow.
Black and Widow.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight. Who's the Shuri, I think, or no, was it Okoye? No, it was Shuri. And Monica Rambeau. They're all there, and now, sure, you might be thinking, "Whoa, Moon Knight, that's cool." Okay, sure. He's in it for 2 seconds, and he's like, basically does nothing. He's just, I don't know. It's like, I can't believe they got Oscar Isaac for that. Truthfully, that was like, I mean, when he does stuff like Miguel in Across the Spider-Verse, and then you can get him to do 2 seconds of lines for this episode, insane. But the story basically is just Hulk tries to separate himself and Hulk, and then he creates this giant monster, and that ends up destroying the world, yada, yada, yada. And then they have to kill the monster, and Hulk comes in and saves the day. Yippee. Like, dude,
So
I
stupid.
don't... And the draw to the episode, I think, is just for people who loved Power Rangers, because they're gigantic mech suits. Banner built this protocol where they can merge together and become one gigantic mech, and they get their ass whooped. Like they become one gigantic mech, and they can't even do anything. Like
Nope.
they still have to have Hulk come in and save the day. It was just so useless, man. This is just another example of them not doing anything interesting. Like I feel like they think they're doing something interesting, like with how outlandish this is. Gigantic mech suits that they're in, fighting giant monsters, like it's just Pacific Rim, I guess, basically. But they think that this is a crazy unique idea, but like, dude, this isn't what I want this show to be. And I want to jump ahead a little bit too. Not at a different episode, but I guess technically, the season finale, their series finale last night, showed a bunch of different characters, right? And I know you guys all saw it, and people talking about them on Twitter. But there's some people that are like, all of these look infinitely more
They're
interesting.
also
than-
ass. They're also
yeah, like-
shit.
Is that like that is the wide breadth of their ideas for this show. What if this character was this? What if this character was that? It's more of the same shit. And there's people saying that, oh, dude, these look gas. Why didn't they do these instead? What are you talking about? Like, what are you actually saying? Like, it's just, it's Jubilee as Silver Surfer. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't fucking care.
Oh, and then they had the
like-
they had the fucking nerve to put Howard the Duck as Scarlet Witch. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about Howard the Duck, dude. This is your big grand, like, this is the awesome multiverse that we... This shit sucks too. Oh,
Like, I don't know, man. Like, you just look at like, I don't even. I hate to say that like season one was the banger for this show because even that season was mid, beyond mid. But it's the best season of the show. Like you had episodes like the zombies one, really good. The strange one, fantastic. You know, and I even went back and I watched since they reintroduced Ultron in this series, in this season. I went back and watched the Ultron one. And honestly, the Ultron one, it gets outlandish. Like it gets kind of dumb with how he just shoots Thanos in half. Like that's stupid. But like the actual premise, what if Ultron won? Amazing. That's what I wanted from this show. And they did it perfectly. The pivot point was Ultron actually getting Vision's body. And that was amazing. Like that is 100% believable. That's something I would have liked to see. And even him getting the Infinity Stones is not what I have a problem with. I just have a problem with Thanos rolling up with 5 Infinity Stones and then he just gets chopped in half by the Mind Stone. That was dumb. But everything else, fantastic, dude. And it's just like they lost the plot somewhere, man. The whole plot became Peggy Carter. Like I don't know, dude. It's so stupid. Episode 1 sucked. It's
yeah. I only had a couple of quick thoughts on this. Yeah, I think the forced plot point of Sam not wanting to talk to Bruce was stupid. It just felt like, oh, but you have to talk to Bruce, Sam. You have to talk to him. He. Why are you mad at him in the first place, dude? Like you don't make it compelling enough.
I get like, well, I can understand like he's mad that he like essentially unleashed these creatures on the world, but like, bro, like, I mean, it's not like that was his intention.
Well,
like,
it's not even like that's a super emotional moment either, where he's like, oh, I can't face him after 10 years. It's like I'm sitting there watching this, like, are we like I feel nothing from this. I thought Moon Knight and Shang-Chi felt super forced into the lineup. Like that's a big problem I have, where they just throw these characters together. They're just like, oh yeah, Monica Rambeau's been in 2 projects. We have this character with it. Okay, yeah, let's make them the Avengers in this universe. Like, give me an explanation. Give me like have Iron Man and Cap maybe survive the first attack, and then have like just give me something more than just here's quippy dumbass Moon Knight that is nothing like Marvel Rivals, is nothing like the other projects we've seen him in. He's just this dumb oaf that's just like, I don't know. And again, speaking of oafs, making Red Guardian look like a dumbass there's a Mother Russia this, Mother Russia that. The shtick is old, man. Give him some fucking personality. That was stupid. And then, yeah, this wasn't Hulk versus the Mech Avengers. This was, look at how many times these different Avengers fail in mech suits trying to fight Hulk things that are dumb, mindless villains. That's it. Just, what if no matter what they did, they always got their ass kicked? That's it. That's literally it. Because they don't lose. Hulk just comes in and does this dumb, like, sumo wrestling fight to make him the new leader and then dips. Like, oh my god, this shit was ass, bro. If I had to rate this episode on the ass meter, it's probably like a 7 out of 10 ass. All right,
not the ass
and
meter,
I'll
bro.
come
Not
back
the
to.
ass
I
meter.
will give every episode an ass meter because every episode is ass. Spoilers. This was a 7 out of 10 ass. Like not crazy, not Okay, Ben, go for
Dude, I'm not sharing any more thoughts on this episode. On to the next. I don't care. I'm not even trolling. I have nothing else to say.
Episode 2. What if Agatha went to Hollywood?
Charlie,
talking about this
you're
one?
up again.
Okay.
What? It doesn't remove?
Should I remove it? I just figured every
It's
person.
recycling.
Well, I
through
mean,
us.
I don't know, because there's 9 episodes. Eventually, we're gonna run out of. I guess we can restart it.
Okay, we'll
So, yeah,
we'll
you
spin
can
it again.
remove it if you want.
I'm just saying, like, it could be Charlie every time.
Okay, Ben,
That's
it landed on you.
Oh, brother.
We just won't do any repeat people. How about that? All right.
Sure.
Okay,
Alright.
yeah. Oh man, I'm so glad that we got an Eternals focused episode this season. Only one. This was the only Eternals focused episode
And
this
it's wild
season.
that it was this one. But
Yeah. Um, I think I said this just when like we had talked, or maybe it was on the podcast last week, but for every single one of these episodes, it is not what I expect, which isn't a good thing because like, you just expect it to be stupid. Like what if Agatha went to Hollywood? I'm expecting that she's just going to be some sort of actress, maybe kind of like WandaVision style or something like that, that they tie it into to that, but they want a completely different direction. And the thing is, they're willing to go a different direction. It's just never a good direction. Like having Howard Stark be a filmmaker who is sitting there with Kingo and Agatha, just watching them, show their powers and fight one another. And Howard Stark, of all people, is sitting there cheering them on enthusiastically. Like, Howard Stark was as giddy as, like, Charlie in this episode, which is saying something, okay? And it doesn't feel like Howard Stark at all. They just turned him into this little bundle of joy as a filmmaker for literally no reason. It was very stupid. And then just the actual storyline, I mean, I don't even know, like, where do you even begin with something like this? Why, why do we care? Why do we care about any of this happening? Like, the only thing that I appreciated about this is how they explained it and tied it in to, is it Tiamat, who was
Yeah.
still growing in the center of the earth? Like, I appreciate that idea of like, oh, somebody who is powerful and has magical abilities becomes aware of this creature growing in the earth and wants to use its power. That's not a bad concept. But they turn it into Kingo and Agatha having a crazy action movie where they're fighting one another and where Howard Stark wants to, keep upping the set pieces of this film that they're making. Like, why do we have to go that route with it? And then to be so bold to make Agatha basically like a celestial towards the end of the episode, and you have her, oh my god, like I just like I'm thinking back to watching the episode, and I can't believe that actually happened. Like
Oh my
this
God.
episode was real. Like
Oh.
she defeats Arishem. She defeats Arishem in this episode,
Yeah.
which is dumb because like you could talk about how stupid it is just because like it's dumb, whatever. But it's also dumb to think about like the power from Tiamat was enough to defeat Arishem. Are we really supposed to believe that?
a
Like that
celestial
is,
that wasn't even born yet. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean the fact that you can even critique it on that level is crazy because like it's just stupid to begin with. So just a really really dumb, absolutely stupid concept, wasted episode, and I can't believe that this is this is the episode that focused on the Eternals. I still go back to that. It's so funny. Of this entire list, they literally had, what if the Eternals didn't stop the emergence? And instead of that being an actual episode, we get this. Agatha going to Hollywood. Just garbage. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool to see, I guess, but you know, even that wasn't like I didn't care that much. It was just a stupid movie set type scenario thing, and it was just it was not interesting. Kingo to me at all. Um, I didn't think Agatha was handled very well either, or Kingo, and how he would react to hearing that she. I guess she said that she didn't kill them, but I think she actually did kill them, the other Eternals, and then brought them back to life as a Celestial, or something. But whatever. Yeah, weird episode, dumb episode.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is, I mean, it's like all the crap that they put into this aside, I think it's like a decent concept. Like it's a cool concept to see, like again, like what Ben said, a magical being like Agatha who does just yearn for power on top of power, find something out like that and become, I guess, a celestial herself for a little bit. What like all of if I'm looking at this and I just have my blinders on, one of my biggest problems was that the villains just don't ever win. Like they can just even in a fucking what if show, they can't just let the villains win. Like they just have to have some Disneyfication in here where it's like Kingo's like, "Stop. I know how to get through to her." And then he brings her back from what she's yearned for the most, what her whole life is centered around, which is a ton of power, and he brings her down by saying, "Oh, but imagine what else you can do if you came back to Earth as a human." Like, what are we doing? Just let the villain win sometimes. And of course, and with this next episode, take yourself serious. Like, why do you have to have this big like the hero steps in and wins the day? Again, the season finale. Why do you always have to have that be front and center by the end of the episode? It was stupid, especially someone as substanceless and as whatever as Kingo was in this episode, for him to be like, "Hold on, Howard Stark, I got this." And it's just like, this is stupid, dude. Like, it at least would have been fine if Agatha became this celestial being and then just swallowed Earth like on some Galactus shit, or just and then moved on to something like, at least end it off like that. Like, yeah, this universe ends horribly, on to the next episode. Like, just something. And then they even tried and be like, "Oh, but everyone loves a cliffhanger, right? Look at these celestials that are coming to take revenge." It's like, no, you shit the bed already. Like, you can't come back from that. I don't know. On the ass meter, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't as ass as the mech episode, but it was pretty ass. So.
All right, on to episode 3. What if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier?
All right,
Who's talking about this one?
Charlie.
Okay, that circle thing loves me. That's great.
It really does, dude.
I mean, I don't have much to say about this one. I do think it's the best of the 3 so far. Still not great though, but it is crazy because Aiden did like call it when we were talking about it last week. That it was Red Guardian stopping the Winter Soldier from killing Tony's parents. Only like we don't see any part of like the ramifications of that. Like we don't see Tony then like living out his life with Howard, and clearly he still becomes Iron Man and everything like that. Apparently he still goes to the cave, and Obadiah still does gets him captured and whatnot, and everything like that. So guess in the grand scheme, it really did nothing except add Red Guardian to the Avengers. So that's what a nothing episode, man. Like it was the most interesting and entertaining, just like character wise, sure. And I guess touching on what you said about the bad guys not winning. In a sense, like maybe this episode's kind of like the bad guys still won because like Bucky goes back on ice, but like it's just like barely. That's kind of reaching for.
It's just no creativity.
The case, so.
They have zero creativity when it comes to it. Because again, Iron Man still becomes Iron Man, and Bucky still goes back on ice. So what the fuck is the point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if Red Guardian somehow found his way to the Avengers? That's it. That's all this is. Because nothing else has any fucking creative juices in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I brought it up with the Eternals. I say the Eternals episode, the Agatha episode, but like the ridiculous things that they allow to happen in this show. So you have Agatha using Tiamat's power to destroy Arishem. That's ridiculous. And in this episode, for me, completely, I cannot believe it. You cannot make me buy into it that Red Guardian was able to get Bucky Barnes that quickly. Mm-hmm. We spent multiple movies with Bucky Barnes, with Steve Rogers, who was his best friend, going back and forth, and with Bucky, struggling because of, the spell that Hydra had him under. We saw that for multiple movies, and you're telling me that Red Guardian, within like a couple conversations, is just like chill with the Winter Soldier? Like
This
that, I just can't buy into that.
this oaf too. This dumb fucking oaf. Like that's what they make him look. Dude, literally all this episode is him just quipping. And it's not funny. It's not clever. It does nothing for me. Like I hate what they make his character look like in the like this season. The first episode they had him do the same shit, and then this episode they had him do it. And it's like I like Red Guardian and Black Widow. I'm excited to see him in Thunderbolts. Like all you're doing with this show is driving me more and more away from these characters because you make them look so stupid. Like I was just getting to my notes now. Like I think Bucky and the animation looked really sick in this. I think they made Bucky look like really cool. He was definitely a standout for me. Again, I hate the Red Guardian shtick. One thing that I will say is I really couldn't. How do I say this? The only thing that stuck with me this episode was how much potential I feel like it would have had if they would have just taken it a little bit more serious. Like make it darker, make it serious. Like don't have we have somebody call someone else a fart knocker, bro. What? What? What do we do? Who the fuck sat there and wrote that down on a script, man? Fire them! Get them the fuck out of the office, dude. A fart knocker? This stupid shit. Like, I could only imagine how better that episode could have been if they just would have taken themselves a little bit more serious. Take what you're doing, like the Doctor Strange episode in season 1. Like, if you apply that tone here, I think you could have had something really cool. Get a little bit more creative with, like, the paths that all of these people go on, such as Howard and Tony and Bucky. Do something a little different and creative there. Like, you could have even had, like, instead of Tony Stark being in the Avengers, you could have just had, like, could have been Bucky, Cap, and Red Guardian. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But what the fuck in your show does? Like, what have you done so far that makes sense and that is actually entertaining and fun to watch? Nothing. And so you could have done that. Make it a little bit more serious. Then I would have really liked that episode a lot. I thought it was really just decent. Like on the ass meter, it's probably like a 5, like 4. Maybe I say 4. I say 4 because it wasn't terrible. Like really, my only problems came from the lack of creativity and the stupid quipping and just the abomination of work they're doing to Red Guardian's character. That's it. Like overall, this one I kind of came around a little bit on. And a lot of that had to do like even just the split screen of like Red Guardian's mission and then like Bucky like flying through the sky with like the blacked out eyes. Like it looks super cool, but yeah, just like I said, every single episode in here is ass, and that one is just a little bit less ass. I'm spinning the wheel, by the way.
Okay, on to episode 4. What if Howard the Duck got hitched?
Oh God, the wheel finally called out to me. All right. Yeah, this being a sequel to the Party Thor episode told me everything I needed to know. As soon as they clarified that in the first minute, I was like, okay, this is going to be hot dog shit ass. And it was. It was hot dog shit ass. Kat Dennings is not a good voice actress. She was not good in this at all. Like, I did not care for their baby. I did not care that what the fuck Howard does in any universe ever. I don't care. I don't care about the character. And one of the big I'll just read it off my notes because it kind of has to do with everything else that happens in the episode. And I'm just reading this straight off my notes. Not only do these concepts suck and have horrible humor and feel like fan-made YouTube animations for kids that like brain rot, All of that aside, just none of these characters feel like they'd be worth sitting down in a theater and watching them all interact. Like you would think, oh, Frost Giant Loki, Caecilius, and Nick Fury all interacting. Like that's cool stuff. Like, you know, like think of like I don't know, watching Civil War for the first time. Or watching Infinity War for the first time and seeing them all in Wakanda, all interacting with each other. Like those moments in a built-up universe like that, like those feel groundbreaking. They just fast forward all of that shit in these episodes and it does nothing for me. Oh, Zeus comes in out of nowhere and makes a cameo. Don't give a fuck. Oh, Caecilius is here fighting and like we have Thanos come in with his crew and we have like all these big Avengers and Marvel characters. I don't care. None of it. It does nothing for me. Like I had a straight face throughout that entire episode. The animation didn't blow me away. The story didn't blow me away. I didn't care about literally any of the characters because you have Thanos coming down and quipping, "Oh, you called me here for an egg." Like, you're just dude, Frost Giant Loki, literally, all he does in this fucking episode is talk about some resort that he wants to build on his fucking planet. What? Like, this shit is ass. It is so ass. It does nothing. You would think, like, telling me all this stuff is happening in an animated medium. Like, imagine telling somebody that a couple years ago, or like 5 years ago. It would be so cool. It'd be such a cool concept. Even just a what if MCU show. And it's gotten to this point where it's just all dog shit. And the concepts suck. And seeing all these characters on screen together does nothing. Does nothing. Because they all just quip. They all just make a joke out of themselves. And they're literally just there for comedic relief and a quick little cameo and bye. Like, it's shit. It's all shit. On the ass meter, this episode was a fucking 9 out of 10 ass. I did not care for any type of concept that they tried to shove in my face in a 20-minute time span on this. I don't care about Darcy. I don't care about Howard. Yeah, abysmal, hot, steaming dog shit right here.
Just casually drop an episode about bestiality and just move on.
Yeah. Jesus.
It's crazy, bro.
I mean, yeah, Aiden didn't even touch on the fact that we have Howard the Duck.
That is
up with Darcy.
That is
to create. Not only that, but to be clear, to create one of the most powerful beings that we have seen in the MCU. And not only that, but a brand new character that is not based on anything in the comics. They just made it up. Because why not? Adding on to the list of things that happen in an episode that I don't believe, the Grandmaster kidnapping parents to eat their children. Crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I totally believe that. And not to mention, guess who was sitting at that table with the Grandmaster? Daredevil and Karen.
Really?
Karen, yep.
Really?
Yeah,
they were?
they're both.
Oh, wow.
Only the two of them, not Foggy, because they don't like Foggy, but...
Or maybe Foggy just doesn't want to eat kids.
They're going to kill him off in the first episode of Daredevil anyway, so...
Yeah, I actually do bet. I've been thinking Foggy is going to die.
I think they will. But, yeah, anyways.
But that's where we'll talk about that later. Yeah, man. Shit-ass episode. Shit. Bunch of bullshit.
This might be the worst episode of literally all 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty bad.
I'll tell you right now, I don't think so. I think there's one that is way worse.
Coming up right now. Okay.
Yeah.
On to episode 5. What if the emergence destroyed the Earth?
This is the good concept. They cooked here.
Charles.
Bro, wait, it's just always Charles.
Yeah, I mean, I am spinning a wheel, I promise. You can hear it in the episode recording, but
they cooked with this one. Yeah, sure. How do you oh my god, we just talked about the Hulk one and how Hulk didn't actually fight the Mech Avengers. Yeah, okay, I guess the emergence happened in this episode, but it has virtually nothing to do with the plot, dude. It's just Mysterio took over the world. That's
Yeah,
what the plot
Nate
is.
title
And
it
then it's
that.
people trying to fucking like well, title it some shit like that. Yeah, the emergence has little to nothing to do with this. Like after Tiamat is born, he's gone. We don't see him in this episode. Never we don't see what he's doing as a celestial now, whatever. Just Mysterio, old ass Mysterio, who runs the planet, and there's a rebellion against him, and led by Riri Williams, and Okoye's on the team, Wong's on the team, and somebody else. I forget who else, but
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie. Thank you, Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie is the. You said the.
Whoa.
What you thinking about there, man?
I was thinking about the character.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Don't,
sure, buddy.
don't act like those names aren't a syllable apart from each other.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Stupid.
But yeah, it was somewhat cool to see White Vision back, I guess. Just to see him tearing stuff up. But like he's just a mindless robot. So like at the same time that I say it's cool, it's not, it's just nothing. He's just destroying things without actually being Vision. It was somewhat cool to see Mysterio. But not really. He did nothing here. He did, but he didn't. He's just old, and he's just operating from the shadows until the very end, and it's just useless. And like we see the Watcher intervene. This talking back to Aiden's point about villains can't win. Literally, the whole episode, the Watcher's telling us how the villain's gonna win this time. He's gonna win, and then at the very end, he's like, "Actually, nah, fuck that. I don't want the villain to win."
So stupid,
Like,
dude. Because he feels sorry
gosh, bro.
for Riri Williams that dies every. Then stop fucking watching that universe, dude.
Go watch a different
Oh
one.
my
bro.
god.
Close your eyes, little bro.
Ah, dude.
That's crazy, bro. Honestly, the Eminence was right, bro. This motherfucker Watu is on his
Bro.
fucking bullshit.
And I'm going to circle back to that. I'm going to circle back to that because I have thoughts. I actually think this was the best one of the season, and that's not saying a lot. That's a low fucking bar. Probably probably 2 out of 10 on the ass meter. I thought Vision's hallway scene was dope. I think telling an emergent story without the Eternals and having it centered around Riri fucking Williams is the dumbest shit in this entire show. But seeing her fly around with the Vision parts on her and seeing her fight Mysterio, I did think was really cool. I also thought it was really sick that they just were like, hey, you know what? Let's find someone to take over this universe and terrorize this universe now that or terrorize this world now that they're in like a post-apocalyptic state. Let's have it be Mysterio, where people can't tell his projections apart from the real one, and Vision is his guard dog. I think that is sick. I think that is really freaking cool. And I think what they did with it was awesome. Because, like, yeah, he's an old man and he just controls all of this from his chair. But, like, once Riri really gets to about her business and fights him one-on-one, again, let's just exclude the fact that the Watcher's dumbass even intervened. I think that is really cool that she was able to just face him one-on-one and kick his ass, expose him for the fraud he is, and then send hope out to everyone else in this post-apocalyptic world. They also killed off all of her friends that she was with. Like, this is the bleak, cool what-if story that I like. I just wish it wasn't Riri Williams because I don't care about her, and this episode made me not care about her even more. But, I mean, it was cool what they ended up doing with her. I think a more established main character would have been fine. But yeah, I actually did really enjoy this episode. I even had in my notes, as bad as I wanted to hate watch this, I do think it's the best in the bunch. And yeah, obviously I still have problems with it. Like I said, everything on here is still ass. I still stand by that. This one is just probably the least ass out of all of them, and I did like quite a bit.
I mean, I hate to disagree with you when you're being positive on, you know, this season of What If, but um it falls into that same category of like you hear the concept and you think, "Oh, that might be cool," or like, "Oh, I think I know what they're going to do." And then they just like it doesn't turn out at all how you think it's going to turn out. In this case, what if the emergence destroyed the Earth? The answer is it didn't destroy the Earth. The answer is like people lived on and there's still heroes and villains fighting, which could have happened with or without the emergence. Sure, the emergence say got rid of 70% of the population, but you basically just had like a Thanos snap that did a little extra damage. Like,
Yeah.
what does the emergence specifically have to offer that made this universe happen that couldn't have already happened regardless? And that's the thing that's just so stupid is like what I kind of expected this episode to be is more Eternals focused and something more like an inner conflict with their team, and then they end up um, like failing. They ultimately fail their mission, and they fail to stop, you know, Icarus from allowing it to happen, basically, and then it actually destroys the Earth, and maybe we figure out kind of what would be next for the Eternals if that were to happen. Um, was the route that I would think that they would go with something like this. But I guess that's too simple with the writers over there at Marvel. That would be too easy of a route to go down. So it's just, you know, it almost undermines like kind of in a way like what the Eternals did because in the Eternals movie, when they show us what an emergence looks like, you literally have a giant being burst out of the planet and the entire planet explodes. Nobody is alive. That's it. The end. And so then to see it in the What If show and for it to be like, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like to undermine that is so it's just stupid. It's just dumb. And I mean, I've pointed that out something for every episode where you just point at it and you're like just who thought of this choice of like we have a pre-established thing that we've shown people, let's do it differently and let's change it. That is just
Yeah.
why would you break a fundamental thing like that you've set up? Those things honestly like annoy me even more than some of the other things in this season. It's just like weird choices like that I don't even understand why they would even think of that.
Yeah. I
Couldn't agree more.
I think this is just the most creative one of the bunch. Using a character like Mysterio, who we got once in the MCU and haven't heard about him since, except for the little, like, oh, in case you didn't watch the last movie, here's what happened in No Way Home. To use a character like him and have him be the main villain and have a beast like White Vision be his shooter out there, I thought was the most creative stuff they did this season in terms of cool concepts. Even just the last ones we talked about, Agatha going to Hollywood is dumb. It involves characters that we just don't care about. The mech one is just kiddie and honestly just feels so lazy. The Howard one, again, just lazy and has characters that we don't care about at all. So the worst of the two. And then this one, we finally get like a post-apocalyptic Mysterio is the big bad, and these are the characters that have to face him. The characters themselves, again, just don't care about. Riri Williams, I don't think was the choice for a main villain. Especially, like, I will always shit on this. Whenever there's some teenager that's just a prodigy and just, like, carries everyone on their back and just makes all the adults in the room look like dumbasses. Like, it's the Godzilla, I forget what movie it is, but, like, Millie Bobby Brown and some other kid. I don't know, the one with Brian Tyree Henry. I will always go back to this because this one, it literally hurts the most. Where they just listen to this podcaster and then they befriend him, and then somehow in this world full of beasts and monsters and like kaiju's everywhere, oh, these little fucking kids are the one that infiltrate military bases, and like these fucking teenagers. And it's so stupid. It's like, who are you trying to relate to? The 20-year-olds watching the movie that just like what is your objective using teenagers to infiltrate military bases and save the world? Like, who are you trying to appeal to? In what way does that help your story at all? And this is just what it feels like, just Riri Williams walking around and schooling the shit out of every adult she teams up with or comes around. I literally just could not care less about it. And I hate that trope, and it's very prevalent here. This one just, I guess, felt like the most creative to me, and I was like, yeah, if we're not going to get any Eternals or anything to do with an emergence, then hey, at least we got a post-apocalyptic Mysterio ruling the world. So, oh god.
On to episode 6. Yes. What if 1872?
Who went this last time? Charlie?
Me. Yeah.
Benjamin.
I feel like I have very little to say about this episode specifically. I feel like having a what if episode where they kind of go with like a Western style is not inherently a bad idea. And I even enjoyed how they applied that to our two main characters with Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop. I like how they like adapted their powers to like a Western feel. I still wasn't like entirely enthralled by anything with the plot. I don't think it was anything like too offensive or annoying in my opinion. It was just kind of like it was a fine episode that played out pretty much exactly like I expected it to. Once they kind of laid things out, which isn't like inherently a bad thing, but it also doesn't feel like anything special. Nothing really notable stands out, and there are some like weird questions of like, and maybe I'm just totally forgetting how they set up like the beginning of this story, but like these characters being in the 1800s, or even like Kate Bishop being in the 1800s, is like, how does all of this actually end up happening? So unless I'm like completely forgetting the reason why these characters are somehow in this timeline, that's a part that's like the believability. But I was willing to look past it and be just like, I'll just kind of live in this world for this little episode. And in that regard, I thought that it was fine. I think the some of the action scenes were fun in this one, and that is in part to what I mentioned about like how they applied our characters' powers to a Western setting. Like even the whole 10 rings thing, and it's the ringing of a bell and whatnot, and then his fists are just strong rather than actually having the 10 rings. So a fun episode, not too offensive compared to some of the other ones. But I also don't really have like too much else to add about it. It was just kind of fine.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed this one the most, I think. Just because of what it had to offer with Shang-Chi and his sister Jia Ying. I saw it coming from a mile away that she was going to be the hood, but still just the handling of like the emotional aspect of all that I thought was really well done. Kate Bishop was an interesting choice to be additive, I think, here. They tried to, I think, tried to make like a little subplot with her and Sonny Birch with him killing her parents, but I guess I just didn't quite understand why Kate Bishop of all characters was that the one that was here. Which I mean, I don't have anything against Kate Bishop. It's just it felt like they just threw in because she hasn't been in anything since Hawkeye. So, or I guess she was in the Marvels, but just as a post credit scene. So I don't know. It was interesting. Yeah, I do also wonder how they ended up in that timeline for sure. Like why that's the case. Like I guess they just were born earlier or something. I'm not sure.
But there's also modern tech as well, so it's like
Yeah, with like the floating train, the flying train or whatever.
which Shang-Chi even says is a Stark invention. So
Yeah.
it is strange.
But, you know, decent enough, at least character wise for me. Nothing crazy though. Still just like at the end of the day, I feel like they try to throw in little things like, "Oh, that kid's got iron fists." Like, I don't. This is what if, man. Like, I don't care. This means nothing to me. As if like if they said, "Oh, that kid has iron fists, and it's like a Daredevil movie," then we're talking. But like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
means nothing to me.
this was this is the thing with a show as bad of a track record with a show that has as bad of a track record as this. It's crazy that the boring episodes are the ones that are not bad at all, just because of how shit they can make the other ones with their concepts. And so this one I liked probably just as much, maybe a little bit less than the Emergence episode. Probably like 3 out of 10 on the ass meter. I thought it was fine. It was like going up for like the first half. I thought it was super cool concept, super cool commentary. I think Kate Bishop and Shang-Chi made a great team. And then it just got super stagnant there for a while. And we spent like literally 10 minutes on that final act where you would cut to Kate Bishop and Sonny Birch arguing and then cut to them fighting. And then cut back to like another 2 minutes on Sonny Birch just tormenting Kate Bishop and then back to them fight. And they did that for so long, like literally the back half of the episode, that it just reached a point where it was like, okay, they kind of ran out of concepts and they kind of ran out of locations and places to take this story. So they just decided to spend the back half on this one set piece, whatever, however you want to call it. That was fine. I think Kate Bishop just turning around and killing the Hood without knowing it's Shang-Chi's sister, I thought that was really cool, where he's like, oh, no, you didn't kill her. You saved her, or you killed the Hood, or whatever. It's just, I mean, it's whatever. I just have the least amount of thoughts on that one. It's fine.
Yeah. I think we can lump the last two together, to be honest, because it's kind of all one big finale.
All right, spinning the wheel right now.
Episodes 7 and 8. What if the Watcher disappeared? And what if?
All right, Benjamin, you take the cake. Man, the wheel only favored me once this time. That's crazy.
I mean, I feel like I'll give a couple of general annoyances that I have, and then we can get into more specifics as more of you guys give your thoughts. The decision to suddenly make Birdie like a main character, powerful character in this storyline, really, really stupid in my opinion, especially because we literally just got introduced to her, and also because she's literally the child of Darcy and Howard the Duck. Just an insane direction to go. On top of just this team in general, like Kahori was fine in season 2, but they've done this weird thing where like with Peggy Carter, with Kahori, they introduce these characters and it's like in their individual stories, I'm not really mad about it. I wasn't mad about the Peggy Carter episode in the first season of What If. I became really mad when all of a sudden she's like the main character of this entire series. That I think is stupid, just the over reliance on it. And I was hoping that we were past that, but apparently not. So just this whole team just feels really weird to me. I liked I liked them bringing in the is it the Eminence? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I liked them bringing them in to try and stop the Watcher because he was breaking his oath essentially. That to me like is kind of interesting. I feel like it was really wasted that they basically then just say like the Eminence is not actually that powerful and the Watcher and Peggy Carter and these other characters are able to actually overpower them and um just the thought that like the Eminence how they're presented is they are above the Watcher and can give the Watcher power um and whatnot, and the fact that like they can even be messed with at all. Like I kind of thought when they were presented that like you can't really like touch them. They're fifth or sixth dimensional beings that are above any of these characters or what any of these characters should be able to do. And so I liked them as an idea, and I thought that they were maybe going to do something cool with it. And I was met with disappointment. I mean, they just went into a huge action spectacle where it felt like there were no stakes. I mean, you just have a bunch of beings that can't die all just fighting each other, on top of them being characters that I really just don't care that much about. Um, and then the one thing, the other thing that I'll mention that I kind of liked is the having the Doctor Strange universe and how they explained that like he has become the living being in that universe and he has full control over it. I like that as a concept. I kind of appreciated how they were able to tie that together. But I mean it ended up being necessary for this, but anyways. Um then the other thing is these characters just like being able to take the oath and become watchers just like at the drop of a hat. Um, I mean, when it was happening, I was kind of in disbelief, and then it did happen, and I'm like, "Are we serious that these four characters are now watchers and can like watch whatever universe that they want at any time?" And then they took it a step further by making Captain Peggy Carter potentially the most powerful being that we have seen in the entirety of the MCU. Like powerful enough to be watching the Watcher. That the thought of that, like going into Avengers Doomsday, which we're supposed to see Haley Atwell in that movie, which will be interesting if she's, Peggy Carter. If she shows up as the Watcher Peggy Carter,
They're
bro,
not gonna do that.
I'm
They
done
won't do
with the
that.
MCU. I'm done with the MCU until they reboot. I'm done.
bro, I'm just like
They won't do that.
you say they wouldn't do that, but they literally made Peggy Carter the most powerful character that we've ever seen.
And what if we know this is nothing? What if is nothing? It's
But
nothing,
but
bro.
the thing, but still, like if we went and we're watching a Marvel movie and I could be like, oh yeah, the Watcher is a character, a fifth dimensional being who could be watching this universe, that doesn't upset me. If I think about that being Peggy Carter, that upsets me. That's where like they've crossed a line. Um, and then the other thing, like they said, this is the final season of What If. Why does this have to be the final season of What If? What about the end of this episode and this series? What is it that makes this a conclusion? Why can't we still have What If episodes moving forward? It's not like the Watcher is dead or gone or anything, and it's not like he lost his power. We actually have a more powerful being now, and they're saying they're done with the show and like it has a finale. It didn't feel like that in the slightest. It doesn't feel like an end, in my opinion. So all of it's just kind of stupid. It was like a lot of pointless action, characters that we just don't care about, and an ending that just all of it just feels pointless. I don't know, like it's all just nothing at this point, and it ended, and I was like, whatever. It's no longer what if, it's whatever. I don't care at this point. And then yeah, the whole credits thing. I think people are being a bit silly about that. I don't like any of those concepts. It literally would have, you would have still just gotten the absolute dumpster fire ideas that of storylines that come out of it. So
like, think about it. If we didn't get Storm as Thor and they flashed that at the end and everyone was like, oh my god, I would do anything to watch this. Yeah, well, this is what you get. This is what you get. Her as just a supporting character in some dumbass story. I'll go second. What if the Watcher disappeared? I mean, I didn't really care for that one at all. I do like the Birdie character just because I think Natasha Lyonne plays her so well, but I don't care about her. I don't want to see her in any live action. I want this to be it, and that's it. I think her addition to this team, honestly, I think everybody's addition to this team at the end just fucking sucks. It's stupid. I don't care about a single one of them. Yeah, Storm as Thor was cool, and seeing her pop in with the X-Men theme, like, that was sick, but then they proceed to just do nothing with any of those characters. And I say that because that's what I felt watching them fight. I felt nothing. This was by far the worst fucking What If episode I have ever seen. I think this finale sucks. I think it is complete ass. There is nothing about what you did in this that was cool to me. The animation, was fine, but the fight scenes are dumb. I think I'm fully on the Watcher sides. I mean, I am fully on their side. Like, what, Uatu? I don't give a fuck, dude. Do your fucking job and watch. That's all you have to do. Stop being a little bitch because you can't intervene with stuff and then cry about it. Everybody is somebody. No, your job is to watch. So sit back and fucking watch. Why do you have to assemble this wannabe multiverse Avenger, Guardians of the Multiverse team, and then take a fucking oath? Oh, fight them with your words. Come on, guys, take the oath with me. Be watchers. It's stupid. It fucking sucks. I do not care one bit for any of it. I did not think a single second of that finale was worth watching. It sucked. The Captain Carter character sucks. I don't know what kind of blackmail she has over Kevin Feige that she has to be in all 3 seasons. The finale of all 3, to where she's the main character of the overarching story in a fucking What If show. Why do we even have an overarching story? You wasted these last 2 episodes when you could have done something on par with the Emergence episode, which was also fucking ass. But shit, I would have rather gotten 2 more Howard the Duck episode What Ifs over this bullshit. Because it's trash, dude, and I don't care for it at all. I don't care to see Captain Carter go God mode and, I'm gonna sacrifice. I'm not losing any friends today. It does absolutely nothing for me. It is so shit, dude. I have never, sat through something and just wanted all of that time back. I wasted my fucking time. I fell asleep watching these episodes 2 nights in a row, because I just did not care about it. I just paused it and went to sleep because I was like, I would rather sleep right now than finish this. It was shit. I don't care for any of the characters. I think Uatu is wrong, and I think the Watchers should have just obliterated all of them for even stepping out of line and trying to confront them. For what? For what? He didn't do his fucking job. He intervened with the universe. Like, yeah. What are we doing here? You want to make me feel something for him? Like, this is stupid. And then he has the nerve to sit down and be like, you taught me everything, so I'm going to teach you some stuff about human life. For what, dude? His job is to fucking watch over and not intervene. That's what this whole fucking show is about. Why do I care what Uatu fucking thinks and about his story? He does nothing for me. I just want to see these mini concepts 20 minutes each episode, not connected to each other. And Uatu took that away from us because he wants to fucking intervene and have 4 episodes surrounding him. It's stupid. It's dumb as fuck. I hated every single second of this. Fire everyone in that fucking room that decided to come up with this shit. It's stupid. It's the laziest dog shit that Marvel's ever forced out of their fucking ass and sat there and fed to us on a fucking silver platter. I take offense to them thinking that, oh yeah, this would be a cool concept. They'd like to see this. I take offense that you think I'm that fucking stupid to eat this shit up. It's fucking ass, dude. This shit sucks. This was the worst fucking piece of dog shit I've ever seen. It was so trash. I honestly hope they never make another What If season. Just let it die where it's at, or bring somebody else who knows what the fuck they're doing to make these concepts, because this was dog shit and it did nothing for me.
This guy liked Venom 3 chat. Just remember that.
Hey, touche.
Yeah, man. I have to agree. I felt absolutely nothing watching the finale specifically. I guess, well, maybe I won't jump to the finale. Just this second to last episode, the penultimate episode. Her showing up in Kang's timeshare, everybody's freaking out about that. I don't think that really means anything. It's just a what if thing of them trying to be cool. What if has never meant anything, and it never will mean anything. It only has meant, I guess, Peggy showed up in Multiverse of Madness, only for her to die. That's the only time what if has ever meant anything. But even then, it wasn't the one from What If, clearly. But I don't think they're not going to do anything like that in What If to resolve this Kang thing. I truly think the Kang thing is already resolved, and they did it with that one line in Loki season 2. I think that was it. I don't think we're going to get any more than that. Yeah, I think Peggy's idea to go to Ultron by herself was astronomically stupid. Wasn't noble whatsoever. And then, so now, instead of doing it all together, she made it so her friends had to do it without her, increasing the risk in which they would possibly perish. That's real Captain America thing to do. Or sorry, Captain Britain. That's why she's stupid. Oh my goodness.
Shout out Mimish.
Shout out to Mimish, yeah. But yeah, getting to the finale. This is actually it's actually what made me go back and rewatch the Ultron episode, because I forgot how that all came to be. But yeah, dude, that fight, it felt there was like no stakes, man. It just seemed like it went on forever. Like there was nobody was getting gassed, nobody was getting hurt. Even like when they were blasting all their energy beams at the Eminence, saying that you surrender, you've lost. Dude, they're just holding their arm up at your beam. They're not even being damaged by it. Like, what do you mean they've lost? Until one of them stands up, and then like he starts shouting, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess he is getting hurt somewhat. But oh man, when they became the I don't know if this is actually what it's called, but at first I thought it was Eternity, but I was like, nah, that's stupid. That was in Love and Thunder. But then what was it? Not the One Above All, but the Living Tribunal.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. Where they all like combined, and then they're like, we're gonna erase not just you, but every version of you in every universe. And I was like, let's go, Peggy.
Yeah, I was finally
out of here. Finally. Fuck yes, bro. I'm just kidding. I don't hate Peggy as much as everybody else does.
I do.
I get the disdain for her for sure. But I don't know. She's just kind of there for me. Now I do think I agree with Ben though. The position she's in now is dumb. Like I think that's. Wow, we're really just giving her anything and everything. It's crazy. But I don't think that's gonna become of anything. Honestly, what upsets me more is the fact that Strange is alive still, and he controls his whole universe. He can do whatever he wants in it. I think that's he literally verbatim. They said he controls every atom in the universe. That is insane. That is so insanely overpowered and stupid. I hate that so much. I think that is dumb. Um, I don't. Again, I don't think that's really going to mean anything. But at the same time, like I think back to like why they said they have to end What If, the infinite possibility show with season 3, and they said it's all going to make sense with where the MCU is going here in a little bit. Like we're going to see it make sense. And so like what does that mean? Are we going to go to Strange's universe? Are we actually going to see Peggy as this ultimate watcher above watchers?
It could. I feel like that could just easily mean a soft reboot after Secret Wars. So then, what's the point of making?
Why does What If? Yeah, why does What If signify that? What If is in any universe already?
Yeah.
Look, man, you're asking me to get into the minds of the people that made this shit, bro. All right, I can't fucking tell you.
But yeah, this episode, I don't think it's the worst of the entire show. But it was pretty. It was nothing. There was nothing here that I cared about even a little bit. I think I agree with you that I forget her name. Some Rachel Leone? No.
Natasha Leone?
Who played Birdie? Natasha Leone. Thank you. Natasha Leone. I do think she always does a good job though. I think in most of what she does. So
yeah.
Not that I think she's a great voice actor. I think that the voice acting is very much a skill. But I do think she was entertaining.
Well,
even though I don't care for her character.
What scares me is that she's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie in an unknown role. I'm hoping that it's just.
I promise that's not.
What's the little robot's name? Oh, I always blank.
Herbie.
Herbie. I hope she's just Herbie, and that's it. Just let her be Herbie.
Yeah, I can see that.
One thing that literally embodies just how lazy the people are that made this show, and I'm going there. I'm fucking going there. One aspect of this finale that embodies just how fucking lazy and uncreative the people are that made this show. Not the animators, not the people that were subjected to have to animate this atrocity, because I feel for you and did a great job. They get into their little time travel ship, whatever, and they're like, I don't know, forgive me, I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't feel like getting it right. They're like, oh, you're telling me we have to go through like the stream of the multiverse, and they're like where all of these universes are, and they're like, yeah. And somehow, some way, instead of, I don't know, landing in a universe that we can explore a bit, instead of bouncing through universes, they just so happen to land on a universe where nobody is anywhere and it's just a fucking battlefield. That's it. Out of all the shit you could have done, they literally say it. Oh, you're telling me we have to go through the stream of the multiverse where all of these universes are? Somehow, some way they land where it's just nothing. It's just not there. It's just non-existent. A place that nobody's at, that they can just literally have a blank canvas to show off just how creative they are. Yeah, let's go through the multiverse and then end up landing on just this abandoned planet where y'all can have a fight scene. Utter dog shit. And it just shows I don't even know if I'd call it not being creative or like being late. It just shows that like they don't care enough. Like they just would rather focus on Peggy fucking Carter and this ragtag team that quite frankly is full of characters that nobody cares about. Kahori got introduced last season, brand new character. Birdie, brand new character. Storm as Thor, brand new character that we just saw the episode before. Why am I supposed to care about any of them? And you would rather pour your... No.
Calm down about Storm.
Oh, yeah, cool. The 3 minutes in the previous episode that we saw of her. Yeah, I definitely care about her a lot.
Fucking Storm we're talking. It's Aurora, okay? Calm your ass down. All right? That's all
Oh,
I'm saying.
okay. What'd they
Calm
do
your
with her?
fucking ass down.
What'd they do with her to make me care?
I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Okay,
She's
so
worth
then
caring about.
okay, so then the character of Storm. Okay, well, Peggy Carter's basically trying to be the character of Captain America. Should we not care about her too?
Is she though? Is she Captain America? What's on her chest, buddy? That's not the American fucking flag. I'll tell you that much.
Captain Britain, baby.
Touche. I don't know. It's just the fact that they would rather pour all of it into these lackluster characters and a lackluster story that none of us want to see, instead of cool concepts and things that would elevate an actual what if show. I bet if you went up to 1,000 people and asked, would you rather see a 2-episode arc of Captain Carter and Birdie and Kahori fighting the Watchers, or literally anything else that you could ever imagine an MCU story? What if the other half got snapped? Would you rather see that or what we got these past 2 episodes? Literally think of any what if scenario that you would like to see in the MCU. Any what if scenario. Would you want that? Or would you want a 2-episode arc of Captain Carter and a ragtag group of characters that just got introduced in this show fighting the Watchers? What would you rather have? What do you think everyone else would say? Exactly. It's just it is one of
I
the
don't think I
7.
disagree with you.
It is one of the 7. No, I'm just talking. I'm just ranting. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. What goes on through these fucking showrunners' heads? I can't wrap my head around it.
They're about to start running X-Men 97 after season 2. So
You just have to
Exciting
wonder if you are in like a creative room with the writers of this show. Probably toss out a lot of different concepts and talk about many, many different things to land on ultimately, 7 or 8 for a given season. I just can't imagine that you're sitting there and like you take a vote and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, what if Howard the Duck got hitched?" That makes it into the top 7 things that they could come up with. Like, are we
Yeah.
really dealing with that just group of awful ideas that these are the best 7 that they could put, into an actual series that they put together and decide to release to the public shamelessly? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that we are happy that What If has come to a terrible conclusion. And also, the episode of this podcast has come to a conclusion. We appreciate each and every single one of you for watching and listening wherever you are, whatever time you're doing it at. Thank you so much. Again, we want to remind you, you can leave us some fan mail or a comment on any podcast listening platform you are listening to this on right now. And we will read it aloud at the next episode, during the next episode, beginning of the next episode. So don't forget that. We'd sincerely appreciate it if you would do that. We'd also sincerely appreciate it if you leave us a rating, a good one. Seriously, thank you. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. We read those too. Also, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. It'll help us get seen by more people like you. Anyways, we will see you next week. We're getting into some big things with 2025. We're going to have a Spider-Man show coming out that he said he's not watching. He's going to watch it. And Invincible Season 3 is coming up soon. These kids got to catch up. I think actually just Aiden. I think Ben's fully caught up.
Ben
Just
caught
Aiden
up.
has to catch up. And yeah, lots of film covering too. So Happy New Year if you're listening to this before 2025.
No, it'll be. This is going up. Oh, is it going up on Thursday?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going up on
Sorry,
Thursday. So
yeah.
never mind. Still, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. It'll be a brand new year for you listening to this, watching this. But with that being said, adios.
Peace.
Sayonara.